Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Again, good morning, everybody. Appreciate you making your time available here this morning. We want to spend a little bit of time and talk with you about some sales tips and strategies that we have come up with and developed to try to help you have more success with the new Mutual of Omaha product. Before we get much into this, I think one of the key things you want to think about as you move forward with long-term care, not just in 2014, but on an ongoing basis, is that I think we've reached a point with the industry where we have to quit focusing on price and focus on the value that we are making available to the client. Because even if long-term care continues to get more expensive, and it will, it is still a pennies on the dollar proposition. Okay, if your clients had a pool of $250,000 and a premium of $5,000, that's 2 pennies on the dollar that they're paying for that. It's massive leverage, but if you're fixated on the price solely and not the value of what it is, it's easy to derail yourself. And if you let your clients fixate on it, it's easy to derail. Kind of an overview, and this is your first and it's your best sales tip, is the strength of the carrier. I mean, Mutual of Omaha has been around for a while, long while. We've worked with you with these products for quite some time. Okay, at the end of the day, Mutual of Omaha is the best combination of carrier and product that's available on the marketplace. It's a product that offers cash as an alternative benefit. It's a product that offers a series of guaranteed inflation options that include buy-up, and we've also, as you'll see here in a little bit, we have brought capped options, more capped options into play, and we've given you greater flexibility than ever on inflation increments, all the way down to a quarter point. Whole new level of flexibility that we've got, and the key thing, again, the brand name recognition with Mutual of Omaha is huge with baby boomers. It's also a great story at claim time. Okay, the cash benefit that I talked about a minute ago makes benefits available to your clients immediately. Okay, as soon as they are certified as being benefits eligible, they're able to begin collecting their benefit. We had a case back in 2013, a relatively young man battling cancer, had battled and was successful, but had a recurrence of the cancer in the early part of 2012, and as it played itself out, the family was able to use that cash benefit so that the entire family could be with this individual down in Houston at MD Anderson while they were undergoing treatment. Okay, that was very, very meaningful. The young man eventually did lose his life, but the fact that his young wife and kids were able to be with him during this very, very stressful time ended up I've actually spoken to his widow a couple of times. It ended up being a huge, huge thing for them to be able to be there. Also, the cash and the immediate availability of the cash could be as much as a $40,000 swing in the favor of your client in a home care scenario. And that's because in 25 years, the cost of home care is going to be higher, which means that if you're looking at paying out of pocket for 90 days of home care at $12,000 or $14,000 a month, that could easily be 35 to 40 grand out of pocket. So not only are they not paying that, but in addition, they're getting a check from the carrier for $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in that accrued cash benefit as it has grown. Okay. The cash actually is good for the carrier because the utilization percentage is lower at 40%. And the simple truth is it's the single most important benefit in any long-term care plan. And think about this, because I know many of you have purchased long-term care at some point in time or other during your career. If you had it to do over again today in 2014, what plan would you buy? Would you buy one? Or I guess you should ask yourself, if you don't think you would buy a policy with a cash benefit, you got to ask yourself why, because the level of flexibility is unparalleled. So now, inflation options. We're going to let you take your pick. We call it pick: points, increments, caps. And we will spend some time with all three of those here today, but we've given you three different weapons to work with your clients to get them to what we call the price point where affordability lives for them. Because the amount of money that they're spending for long-term care really hasn't changed regardless of what the premium structure is for a carrier. It's the amount of benefit that they're able to buy with that money, that $2,450 average sale. So now, we're going to talk about points first. All right, 1 point is about a 26% difference in premium for a 55-year-old. It's also worth noting overall, as we talked during the course of this, 18% of the sales with the LTCi product the last 2 years that it was in play were either future purchase option or no inflation. So that is something that the clients are comfortable with. And everything we talk about today regarding inflation comes with the guaranteed upgrade option. That means your client has the ability to buy more inflation at any point in time during the contract until they've owned it for 20 years or until they have reached age 75. Whichever is earlier. It's worth noting that a 1% inflation option will increase benefits by 1/3 in 30 years. A 1.5% inflation option, both of which are partnership approved in many states, that 1.5% option will increase benefits by more than 50% in 30 years. Okay, now part 2 of this is increments. Remember, it's PIC, P-I-C. Okay, when we saw the 26% difference between the points, we knew we had to have some more flexibility, so we went from half point down to quarter point increments, roughly 6.5% premium savings. As you can see here, it's about a $300 a year savings for an average couple sale. It's about $600 a year if you move it a half point. These are meaningful numbers for your clients as you're trying to get them to a place where they're okay with how the benefits are structured in that price. Okay. Price-wise, this gives you some idea of how increments work. If you were looking at 3% lifetime compound for this 60-year-old individual, you're at about 40/21. By going to 2.5% lifetime, and we'll talk more about partnership in a minute, you're now down to 36/47, 400 and or 300 and some dollars there. Significant savings over the 30-year lifetime of a policy, and again, partnership eligible. Okay, the capped option. We had the 20-year option for some time. The amount of activity that we got with it told us that it was meaningful. We brought in additional capped options at 15 and 10 years. They are available on all of the inflation options you have on the custom platform. And again, they all include a guaranteed upgrade option. Okay, give you an idea of the pricing differential here. That same 60-year-old individual, the $44,021 premium, if you add on that 20-year cap for them, okay, that premium drops down to $34.34, about $600. If you put on a 15-year cap, you're looking at $1,000 a year savings. And we know, because you've told us, we know that the clients are comfortable with the idea that their inflation has a finish line. And the reason that they're comfortable is because they know you're going to be able to save them exclusively, I might add. You're going to be able to save them, $600, $800, $1,000 a year on premium. Mutual of Omaha products are the only ones in the market who have these caps. They are the only ones in the market where you actually have an inflation option that has the ability to give you more inflation without underwriting down the road. Okay, and we're going to back up here for just a second. And actually, I'm going to get out of this, and we're going to look at the software. So now, we talked about caps, where this all fits, inflation, and partnership approval. Now, if you don't have the software, send me a note after the presentation, and I'll get you the link out to it. One of the key pieces we added is this pick inflation button. Now, what you're seeing here is the pricing and the partnership approval for both a 60-year-old over here and a 61-year-old. Now, what you see is that a 61-year-old can have any inflation option Mutual offers, from 1% all the way up to 5. Okay, but the ones that matter are 1 to 4.75. They can have it lifetime or with a 20 or 15-year cap. Those are all partnership approved, and they all come with that guaranteed buy-up. Okay, at age 60, you don't have the availability of the 15-year cap with the buy-up, but you do have the 20. Of all of the very compelling tools that our software team brought together for this latest version, this pick inflation is perhaps the most important, just simply because it shows your clients very, very quickly and concisely what we've got here. That is significant. All right. So we wanted to just take a second to look at that. We're going to go ahead and hop back in here to our presentation. So we were talking about caps and pricing. Now, another option you could look at with this is what we call the front load. And the front load concept is based on the idea that the premium for the typical premium for in a couple situation and on a $4,500 sale with a pool of $170 with 3% lifetime compound is $4,000. Okay. Alternatively, or conversely, you could give those clients $9,000 right now, pool of $350K right now with no inflation, and that premium would be $200 a year more. So you ask yourself, why would you do that? Well, a couple different reasons. Number one, it simplifies it. All right. Like most other types of insurance out there, by going this way, your clients know exactly what they have right now. They know what they're going to have in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, because they've got the whole thing. That's number one. Number two, there's a pretty significant school of thought building that one of the best ways to protect your clients from rate increases, significant rate increases, is to keep them away from inflation. That is the thing that significantly drove the rate differential on the Mutual of Omaha product when the gold product was repriced in the early part of 2012. 3% compound had about a 25% increase in premium. Guarantee, or the future purchase option at that point in time had a 3% differential in premium, or a 3% increase in premium. So you can see fairly significant savings. The third and perhaps most compelling reason is what we call the intermediate risk. If something happens to your 60-year-old client when he's 73, he's somewhere in the middle between 4,500 and the anticipated 9,000 that they would reach in 24 years. We'll talk about that in a second. By buying all the whole thing right now, they've got that 9,000 available if they claim early. One of the key pieces of this whole scenario is that 3% compound inflation takes 24 years to double. This way, they're not trying to figure out how close they got to doubling after 16 years when your client had a stroke at the age of 76 or whatever it was. Okay, we have some agents that we have worked with extensively on this who are having what I would categorize as phenomenal success. An agent in New York really embraced this, tweaked it even more, and made it his own, and sold more than $150,000 of the Mutual of Omaha product in the second half of 2013. I'm talking the last 6 months, he wrote $150,000 in Mutual of Omaha. So it is a compelling story. Be glad to spend more time with you individually and talk about it if you would like to do so. Okay, rate hotness. We continue to look for sweet spots, if you will. And one of the things that we wanted to do is dispense with the urban legend that the rates, quote unquote, went through the roof. For a significant part of the pool of folks out there that are eligible clients, well, that's not the case. Married couples 65 and over, the prices actually went down. All right, single males, age 47, married males, age 45. Premiums are level at worst, and they went down at best. And we spent the time crunching these numbers because we wanted to continue to be in a position where we are giving you that value and rate combination. Another piece, and we alluded a little bit to this before, is what we call sell into partnership. Okay, if you're in a state where 2.5% compound is not an approved inflation option, your clients can buy their way up to the 3% approval level 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and they are then partnership approved or partnership certified. We are told, and Idaho right now is the only exception to this rule, we are told that it's where your client ends up in terms of what inflation they have that determines whether their policy is partnership certified or not. Okay, so that is a significant opportunity there as well. Software availability, we talked a little bit about this before, okay? If you do not have our mutual care solution software, you can download it at the site listed here. Okay, I would highly, highly recommend you take 5 minutes, get that software downloaded, get familiar with it. And any of us here would be glad to spend some time and give you a little bit of a tutorial, if you will, to get you positioned to make the most of that, okay? It's absolutely best software in the industry. I mean, no question, it's the best software in the industry. Phenomenal sales tool. Your clients, you start working with them with this, they see it, they almost get a little bit hypnotized, but the fact that you can give them an immediate, an instantaneous answer to any question they have about what if I change to this, what if we do that, et cetera, we can only afford to, to go $3,500 on the premium. What can you get us for that? We've got the target premium feature that takes care of that. All these different things are there. We'll spend a second here because we're pretty much at the end of the presentation. We'll scoot back into the software here and talk about some of that. Now, the second most important piece of what we have, other than pick inflation, is this set target premium feature. So now your clients tell you that most they can go is, $3,800, let's just say. All right, so you open this up, you key in 3,800 annual, and it's based on what mode you have selected on the primary software dashboard. You tell it okay. You come back and it says, all right, with all of these, because these variables here stay the same, your inflation, your policy limit, et cetera, it says the most you're going to get is a $3,500 max benefit, okay, to stay below 3,800. So you go over and you say, all right, I'm going to look at this 20-year capped option. I know it's not partnership approved for my wife or my spouse, but I'm going to look at it anyway. Okay, and actually I guess it is partnership approved in Nebraska. And as you can see, now it kicked them right back up. $5,150 is now the monthly benefit, and they're still below $3,800. The only thing that it moves is the monthly benefit. The other piece that will really give you some rate relief are these capped options over here. But the combination of those two things will get you to a point where they're ready to transact now, rather when they're healthy and young, rather than waiting until they get a little bit older. So I'm going to go ahead and open things up here for questions. Hopefully everybody has hit their audio PIN code so that we can unmute folks. If you haven't hit the audio PIN code, then please do so, and we will entertain questions here. So anybody out there with questions, go ahead and fire away.
Yes, I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Rodney.
Rodney.
How do we run a quote that is not partnership qualified, that has no inflation protection on it? I was working with an 80-year-old couple, and they did not want any of the inflation protection, but I could not get a quote off the software.
Off this software here?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's try. I mean, first of all, at age 80, they're not eligible for benefits. 79 is as high as we go. Okay, but let's say for the sake of simplicity that you got a 75-year-old.
Sorry, back up. They were in their 70s, not 80.
All right, well, we're going to go 75, okay?
Actually, he was 79 and she was 75.
All right, we'll look at that. Okay, so now, if you're getting, what you got to do is look at the error message that you're getting down here, okay? What it tells you is the plan for these folks does qualify for partnership, okay? And selecting it doesn't add any additional premium. If you're getting an error message down there, you need to either put the little check marks in or take them out, one or the other.
Okay, I'm not seeing the software.
Are you online?
Yes.
All right, let's take a look at that. Okay, now you're seeing it. Okay. Get that out of the way there. Okay.
All right,
now,
there we are. Yeah.
Yeah, down here you've got your little partnership check boxes. If you're getting a partnership error, you either need to get it.
That.
Okay, but you can uncheck it because as soon as you do it, it says this plan qualifies for partnership. Now, you said those folks didn't want inflation, all right? So, okay, but it still qualifies for partnership, and you have to have that delineation on the illustration, okay?
Okay, that's where I messed up. All right.
If you're getting an error message, and what you want to do, this happens every once in a while, read very carefully what the error message is. It'll tell you where you need to look. It may tell you that that particular combination of benefits isn't available, whatever, but then you go on, make one uncheck out there. It's a really good question, and then it gets you right back in the ballgame. And what you're seeing is for the 75-year-old, it's partnership qualified. Actually, for both of them, I guess it is. We just usually don't work that high. And there you go. Okay. So we unchecked the 75-year-old, and now it works.
Okay. So that's how we get a premium shown.
Yeah,
okay.
there it is. There it is.
All right.
Okay?
All right. Okay.
Good question. Good question. All right. Anybody else out there with questions?
Hey, Mike, this is Sean Jensen. I've got a question that's a little bit different from what you've presented here. For the state of Washington, looking at the application regarding replacement of existing coverage, the notice to the applicant on replacement of individual accident and sickness coverage. What constitutes accident and sickness coverage?
Well, sickness coverage categorizes health insurance, and it also categorizes critical illness, et cetera, long-term care. So that's why they call it sickness rather than health. And long-term care falls under that criteria. So if they've got an existing policy and their plan is to replace it and you're aware of it, because sometimes we know they don't divulge everything, if you are aware of it, they've got to complete that document.
So current, hospitalization coverage would include sickness if they're going to...
No, well, are you talking about health insurance or long-term care? Because that form only pertains to long-term care.
Yeah, I'm talking about health insurance. Because this says,
health insurance doesn't have anything to do with that replacement form. These people are not replacing health insurance. If they were replacing anything, it would be long-term care.
Okay, because the form says replacement of existing accident.
I understand, but it only applies to the long-term care. You're not selling, as far as we know it, you aren't selling them health insurance through AIM. So it's not pertinent to that transaction. That transaction is only about long-term care.
Okay, thanks. Got it.
All right. Any other questions out there? Okay, well, doesn't sound like we have any other questions. If you want a copy of the slideshow, please send me an email, mike.anderson@whyaim.com, whyaim.com, and I'll shoot you a copy over. And if you need any help with software or anything like that, give us a ring. Give any of us here at AIM a ring, 800-672-7202. This will be archived, and it will be up on the website here within a couple of hours. So if you missed the beginning of it or something, you can get on the website and go through the recorded, the archive of it. So one last pass for questions, and then we'll go ahead and shut everything down. So any questions out there?
Mike, on the dashboard, what heading will this be under so we can find it?
Now, on the for the software download?
No, for if we want to go back and look at the presentation again.
Oh, you're gonna look under news and events.
Okay.
And then you hover over today's date, on there and then click on that event page, and it'll take you to the recorded webinar.
Okay, all right.
Okay? And we'll be changing that relatively quickly, and there'll be a bar or a button underneath the calendar that will say recorded webinars. We're going to change the formatting a little bit. For the time being, though, just hover over the date of the webinar that you want to see the archived version of, and it'll take you to it.
All right, great, because the website's a little hard to use.
Yeah, we are in the process of phase 2 of that. We actually we had a lengthy meeting about that yesterday. You'll start to see some changes pretty quick.
Sounds great. Thanks.
Okay, anything else, folks? Okay. All right. We'll call that good then. Thanks, everybody, for your time. We will look to see you out there soon. Take care now.